Good day, everyone. I am Edward de la Cruz Sanipa, and today we are going to present to you our critique with regards to the issues and problems in teaching social studies and on how we provided suggestions and resolutions in the said problems and issues. But before we go deeper to our core ideas, let me introduce to you first the overview of the study that we found that entitled Araling Panlipunan in the Philippines Makabayan Learning Area Problems and Prospects in Articulating Social Studies as a Discipline. In 2002, the Department of Education of the Philippines organized a new basic education curriculum that is aimed Filipinos to be empowered lifelong learners who are functionally literate. This 2002 basic education curriculum featured four key reforms. First is restructured learning areas, which are Filipino, English, Science, Mathematics, and Makabayan. Second, stronger integration of competencies and values across learning areas. Third, greater emphasis on the learning process and integrative mode of teaching. And lastly, increased time to gain mastery of competency. This study discusses the new learning area featured the curriculum called Makabayan, which is an integration of the various disciplines such as Araling Panlipunan, home economics, physical education, music, and arts. Makabayan aims to have a learner that has a healthy personal and national identity. As such, the problems of recognizing the aims of Makabayan curriculum are discussed, focusing on the weak conceptualization and articulation of social studies as a discipline under the said curriculum. In the process of studying the Makabayan curriculum, there is a weak conceptualization of social studies due to a loose definition of a learning area and the lack of framework thereof. It is to be noted, however, that the BEC or the Basic Education Curriculum was only implemented from 2002 to 2012 and was replaced by another curriculum starting school year 2012 to 2013 called the K-12 Basic Education Curriculum. As such, this paper explores the integrative method of BEC focusing on Makabayan and how Araling Panlipunan was integrated and articulated in the said learning area. The whole idea of the study was actually focusing on the foundation of basic education curriculum and the structure and framework of content under the social studies learning area as a discipline. The concluding part endeavors to summarize the problems on the articulation of Araling Panlipunan and the loose integration of the discipline to the whole curriculum. And now, through the internalization of our group, we come up with four core problems within the study with regards in teaching social studies. These are lack of mastery of learning competencies, time allotment, focus on content not in BEC, and lastly, the absence of proper framework. Each problem are provided as suggestions and solutions that are well discussed and brainstormed by our group.
One of the recurring problems in the Philippine curricular reform is the absence of a proper and contextualized framework. Bago criticize this practice of curricular reform as piecemeal or pira-piraso, where pieces are deleted, replaced by another, or moved here and there, resulting in a mere patchwork or tagpi-tagpi. Again, this is due to the lack of focus or sabog, which inhibits the production of a clear pictures of the structure of the whole or malabo. This piecemeal approach is apparent in many curriculum revision projects where subjects are added or subtracted based on either gut feel or lakas ng kutob, hatches or haka-haka, or patterned after an existing model, gaya-gaya, whether foreign or local. In the case of Makabayan curriculum, the piecemeal approach is evident on how the framework of the learning was crafted and resulted to a mere description of goals of each subject area. In fairness to the 2002 BEC, it was a result of a 16-year study encompassing 3 department secretaries and executive commission report that ran for 2 years. Yet, it does not give justice to the conceptualization of the Makabayan learning area. Furthermore, the lack of proper framework to discuss the aim of having a healthy personal and national identity resulted to the absence of a framework for social studies. Meanwhile, the Philippine social studies is treated as social science disciplines integrated into one course of study. What lacks in the social studies of BEC 2002 is the proper framework for the teaching and learning process and how each goal in elementary and secondary level can be achieved. As the social studies course was subsumed into a bigger learning area called Makabayan, the discipline was stunted such that it bears only a little importance to the overall educational experience compared to English, math, science, and Filipino. This stunted experience is evidenced by integrating the already integrated social studies to other disciplines under the Makabayan learning area. Rating for social studies does not stand alone but constitutes 27% of the total Makabayan grade. By using this method of rating, how do we measure or verify what we are trying to achieve, or who is accountable for what and to whom? So, in order to resolve the problem and issues in the curriculum, understanding the incorporation of a theory framework, paradigm, or model in the curriculum can lead to a better understanding of the systems and processes involved to establish worthwhile practices in the field. The Makabayan curriculum did not emerge as something perfect, regulated, or predictable. It is a result of various insights, reports, and judgments. Nonetheless, it should still incorporate appropriate theory of framework to identify the relationships within the learning area and how it answers basic curriculum questions like what are our aims and goals, how do we translate them into objectives, what subject matter or content is most worthwhile, what are the best forms of content, how do we organize it. By answering the fundamental curriculum questions, the Makabayan learning area could have crafted a clearer framework that would help establish bases for theoretical and practical discussions and help resolve problems and issues in the curriculum. So that would be the best solution we could have to resolve the problems and issues in the curriculum. And that would be all. Thank you.
Good day, ma'am. I am Jeffrey Honor, and today I will be stating one of the problems of our group. So one of the problems of our group is the problem in the mastery of learning competencies. Competency-based learning is an approach to learning where learners move ahead primarily based on their demonstration of what they know and can do rather than simply based on the time spent on training. Competency-based mastery is when you can apply what you know, not just learn it, but also apply it. With Makabayan being a mere heading for all subject areas are evidenced by assigning weekly time allotments and separate grading criteria for each subject area. As discussed earlier, in the case of social studies, it maintains a separate teaching and learning time from home economics, MS EPP, and values evaluation. Moreover, it has different criterion for student assessment and evaluation. Documents such as the Philippine Elementary Learning Competencies or PELC and Philippine Secondary School Learning Competencies or PSSLC presented the Makabayan competencies under the different subject areas. But to give due credit to the integrated Makabayan learning area, a student's grade is computed by a weighted average scheme. Thus, each student will only have one grade in Makabayan, coming from the different grades under the different subject areas. In reality, only the ratings or grades from the identified 5 learning areas of BEC or BEC 2002 are considered as the evaluation of students and mastery of competencies. Now, in order to ensure the learning competence of students in Makabayan, the main objective or the main goal of the subject must be boldly stated from the very beginning in order to have emphasis. It could be supported by creating rubrics, which serves as the basis on how students will be graded based on the performance that they impose. The learning objectives could also be attached in order to keep in track with the progress and the goals that are to be achieved. The other subjects should not affect the grades to be given in Makabayan, since they are separated subjects. The Makabayan subject must be independently responsible with its learning areas and grading process without the other subjects' interference. So that would be all. Once again, I am Jeffrey Honor, and thank you so much.
Cut.
Hi, good day. I am Janaisa Apyat, and one of the problem that we have found out in our article, which is the problems and prospects of the articulation in social studies as discipline in the elementary grades, is the time allotment. So we all know that time is very important to all of us. Um, Time is one of the significant benefits of time management, and that it enables us to be more productive by allowing us to regulate how we spend our time, so we can concentrate better on critical tasks. It leads us to increase efficiency. So the more instructional time teachers devote to a particular subject, so the more content exposure and opportunities for the learners to engage. So there is and this evidence suggests that social studies is undervalued in elementary schools. Why it says so? Because it limiting opportunities to learn this subject in meaningful ways. So instructional time can have a significant impact on how much or how long students are exposed to a specific knowledge and skills. So there is this a problem in when we talk in time, because the social studies have the time allotment of 30 minutes in each day. So the problem there is that this social study, so the fifth learning area, which is new and the back, is called Makabayan or social studies. So it is a literally person who loves his or her country. So the depth ed envisions this learning area is to be is to be a laboratory of life. So it differs from the other learning areas, such as that it is integrative, experiential, interactive, interdisciplinary, and valued laden. So moreover, this Makabayan or this social study as a learning area cultivates in the learner a healthy personal and a national self concept, which is derived from the name of the learning area itself. So it is very sad if the social study subject is allotted just 30 minutes each day. So So the Deped Order series, the Deped Order numbers 31 series of 2012. So it states there that each disciplines under the Makabayan is given its weekly time allotment, which is from the grade 1 to grade 3 have a 300 minutes is allotted in 1 week. So like, and 500 minutes for grade 4 and 600 minutes for grade 5 and grade 6. And so this social study is given a separate time allotment. So by doing that, so the students that the students that study social studies gain a better understanding of the real world, or real world understanding. So students learn about different places, cultures, and events around the world. So as well as um, forces it forces them to shape them, and can draw conclusion about how the rest of the world works. So as a result, this so-called laboratory of life can be established, or it can be possible to establish in every student, because of the adjustment of the time allotment for the social study subject. That should be all for this problem. Thank you.
Treatment of the problem. One of the disciplines under the Makabayan learning area is social studies. The rationale for subsuming social studies under this learning area, rather than being separate like science or English, is the aim of Makabayan to have learners who can demonstrate deeper appreciation of Filipino culture and patriotism. Social studies or araling panlipunan is not used as a term, rather acronyms were utilized to denote the focus of the study. However, it was found out that the integration as a central focus of the BEC is not evident, but it focused solely in the content itself, which leads to be an error in articulating social studies as a discipline. The problem will only focus on the content, but not the general objective of the basic education curriculum, which is the integration across different learning areas. Suggestion or solutions. The goal of social studies in the elementary level is as follows: nagpapakita ng pagmamahal sa bayan at pagmamalaki sa mga pambansang pagkakakilanlan at mga karapatan at tungkuling dapat gampanan. May positibong saloobin at pagpapahalagang nakatutulong sa pag-angkop at sa nagbabagong panahon. May kakayahan sa pangangasiwa sa kapaligiran, kasanayan sa masusi at mapanuring pag-isip, at may global na pananaw upang makaagapay sa mga pagbabago sa daigdig. This lofty goal of elementary social studies is the guide for crafting various competencies and content topics. For grades 1 to 3, the study of civic and culture focuses on three major themes. 1. Pambansang pagkakakilanlan. 2. Pambansang pagkakaisa or national unity. And 3. Pambansang katapatan or national integrity. Social studies competencies are anchored in these themes to guide the teacher on the content to be taught. That is why it was suggested that across different learning areas in Makabayan, the goal and or the objective of the social studies should be evident and well addressed. It should not focus solely on the content of the such discipline, but it should touches the central goal of the entire curriculum. The national unity, identity, integrity should be touched upon every discussion. In totally, in planning a lesson, the objective of the specific topic should be inclined to the objective of the curriculum, and or even in the activities that you will conduct. The outcomes of the activities and the lesson that the student can be gained in the activities should also and always be inclined to the central focus of the curriculum. By doing so, the teacher can still instill in the mind and heart of the students so-called love for country, along with the values of makabayan, makatao, makakalikasan, at makajos.
Hello, it's Miss Ibi Sumadero, and here is my part of our study. With all the predicaments and discussions stated on the study of Araling Panlipunan Social Studies in the Philippine Makabayan Learning Area, problems and prospect in articulating social studies as discipline, there are four core problems in the study, and each problems we provided suggestions or solutions. The first problem is the absence of proper framework. The lack of framework for the discipline of social studies and its integration to the Makabayan learning area. Curriculum parameters have been set by the Department of Education, but these parameters never showed any framework for integrations in Makabayan. With integration as a solution for giving more time for all subjects, this is evidenced by an increase in weekly time allotment compared to predecessors of Beck 2002. The result would be described by Shug as important areas of curriculum are simply left out of the underrepresented in the school day. Curriculum integration may result in the narrowing of the curriculum and fewer opportunities for learning rather than more. However, the answering the fundamental curriculum questions, the Makabayan learning could have crafted a clearer framework that would help establish a basis for theoretical and practical discussion and help resolve problems and issues in the curriculum. The second problem is less integration of competences and value across learning areas. The curriculum integration under the Makabayan scheme made a loose or confused even definition of social studies. Competencies presented in the PELC and PSSLC were too fragmented, disconnected, meaningless jigsaw puzzles or discipline-based courses and lack connection to its goal. It can be inferred that this integrated social studies is a product of prevailing hype during that time, where NCSS in 1994 urged high levels of curriculum integration, stating that social studies programs reflect the changing nature of knowledge, fostering entirely new and highly integrated approaches to resolving issues of insignificance to humanity. Otherwise, curriculum planners must have taken into consideration that disciplines are powerful tools since they are essential bodies of knowledge that provide the tools, vocabulary, and rigor required for participation in the modern life. Social study must have cleared its definition first before integrating it to Makabayan in order to ensure the learning competence of the students in Makabayan. The main objective or main goal of this subject must be boldly stated from the beginning in order to emphasize. It could be supported by creating the rubrics which serves as the basis on how the students will be graded based on the performance that they imposed. The learning objective could also be attached in order to keep in the track with the progress and the goal that are to be achieved. Thus, achieved. The other subjects should not affect the grades to be given in Makabayan, since there are separate subjects. The Makabayan subject must be independently responsible with its learning areas and grading process without the other subjects' interference. The third problem is to focus on the content, not in Beck. One of the disciplines under the Makabayan learning area is social studies. The rationale for subsuming social studies under this learning area. Rather than being separate like science or English, it is the aim of Makabayan to have learners who can demonstrate deeper appreciation of Filipino culture and patriotism. Social, social studies or Araling Panlipunan is not used as term, rather acronyms were utilized to denote the focus of the study. However, it was found out that the integration as a central focus of the BEC is not evident, but it focuses solely on the content itself, which leads to an error in articulating social studies as a discipline. The problem will only focus on the content but not the general objective of the basic education curriculum, which is the integration across different learning areas. In totality, in planning a lesson, the objectives of the specific topic should be inclined of the in the objectives of the curriculum and or even in the activities that you will conduct. The outcomes of the studies and the lessons that the student can be gain in the activity should also and always be inclined to the central focus of the curriculum. By doing so, the teacher can still instill the mind and heart of the students so-called love for the country, along with the values of makabayan, makatao, makakalikasan, and at makajos. The fourth problem is the time allotment. Time is very important to one of the most time is the time is very important to all. One of the most significant benefits of time management is that it enables to be more productive by allowing us to regulate how we spend our time. We can concentrate better on critical tasks, which leads to increased efficiency. The more instructional time teachers devote to a particular subject, the more content, exposure, and opportunities for learners to engage. This evidence suggests that social studies is undervalued in elementary schools, limiting opportunities to learn the subject in meaningful ways. Instructional time can have a significant impact on how long students are exposed to specific knowledge and skills. The Department of Education released an order where students were given the allotted time in order for the students to study social sciences and gain a better understanding of the real world. Students learn about different places, cultures, and events around the world, as well as the forces that shape them, and can draw conclusions about how the rest of the world works. As a result, this so-called laboratory of life can be established or now possible to establish in every student who is learning social studies. And that's all. Thank you.